Have you ever felt that shiver run down your spine, like someone was watching you, even when you were alone? Sometimes, the scariest stories don't come from movies or books. They come from real life. Today, I'll share two true stories that will make you think twice before turning off the lights. What would you do if you were home alone and heard footsteps upstairs? If a stranger stared at you from across the street and vanished in the blink of an eye? Get ready, because after hearing these stories, you might never sleep the same way again. It was a quiet night, too quiet, the kind where every little sound feels off. Jason had just turned off his bedside lamp, ready to sleep when he heard it. He lived alone, or at least he thought he did. His apartment was small, with no pets, no roommates, and definitely no reason for any noise at this hour. Maybe it was just the building settling. That's what he told himself anyway. But then, he heard it again. Jason's breath caught in his throat. He reached for his phone, but before he could turn on the flashlight, his bedroom door slowly began to open. His first thought? A break-in. But something about this felt wrong. The figure wasn't moving. It wasn't breathing. It just stood there. Then in the dim light, he saw it. Two glowing eyes staring directly at him. Jason wanted to scream, to move, to do anything, but his body wouldn't respond. It was like something was holding him down. And just like that, the figure vanished. The door was still open, but the room beyond it was completely empty. He barely slept that night, but the worst part? The next morning, when he checked his phone's camera roll, there was a photo he didn't remember taking. He was alone, but someone had been in his room, watching. After that night, Jason never slept with his door unlocked again. Emily wasn't the type to scare easily. She lived alone, had a solid security system, and never forgot to lock her doors. But one night, something happened that changed everything. At first, she barely noticed it. Just a soft tapping, like rain against the window. But the weather app said clear skies, no rain. Minutes passed, then tap, tap, tap. Her stomach twisted. Something wasn't right. Slowly, she turned her head toward the window. And that's when she saw him. She froze. The man didn't move, didn't blink. He just stood there, grinning. Her mind raced. Who was he? How long had he been standing there? And how did he get past the fence? The operator picked up. Emily whispered, "There's a man outside my window. He's just standing there, staring at me." Emily forced herself to look away, afraid that if she kept staring, he might do something worse. When the police arrived, they searched the yard. No footprints, no signs of forced entry, nothing. They told her it was probably just a random trespasser, maybe a prank. But Emily couldn't shake the feeling that this was something else. It was a picture of her, taken from outside the window. Emily moved out a week later. She never found out who the man was, or if he ever came back. Two terrifying stories, two people who thought they were safe. Jason was in his own apartment. Emily was in her own home. But fear doesn't care about locked doors or familiar places. And here's the part that's really disturbing. These aren't just horror stories. They actually happened. The scariest thing about real-life horror? It could happen to anyone. Maybe you've already felt it. That strange sensation of being watched. That chill running down your spine when you're alone at night. That unexplainable sound in the hallway when you know no one else is home. But what if you're not alone? What if, right now, as you're watching this, someone is watching you? Maybe tonight, before you go to sleep, you should check your windows, lock your doors, and, just in case, check your phone's camera roll. You're still here, still watching. But let me ask you something. Are you alone right now? It's funny how the human brain works. The moment you start thinking about being watched, suddenly, every little sound becomes suspicious. Every shadow seems darker. Every reflection feels off. But hey, it's probably just your imagination, right? Or maybe, just maybe, someone's been watching you this whole time. Fear is a strange thing. It starts as a whisper in the back of your mind, a feeling that something isn't quite right, and then it grows. You tell yourself it's nothing, just your imagination. But what if it isn't? What if the sound you just heard wasn't the wind? What if the chill on your neck isn't just from the cold? Jason thought he was alone until he found a picture of himself sleeping. Emily thought she was safe until she found a photo someone took from outside her window. But here's the real question. How do you know it hasn't already happened to you? Go ahead, check your phone. So, you made it to the end. But let me ask you one last thing. You've been sitting here, watching this video, but are you sure you're the only one watching? Maybe it's nothing. Maybe, when you turn off this video, everything will go back to normal. Or maybe, you should check behind you